Welcome to Nurture and Nourish Cosmetology Coaching. My name's Gabby. I'm a cosmetologist. I've been an educator for the last 5 years, and I'm here to help you get ready for the Texas State Board Cosmetology exam. So today, my real goal is to just go through the PSI packet with you guys. If you have not seen it, I highly encourage you to do a quick little Google search. I will also list the link down below in the description. The Cosmetology Operator License Examination Candidate Information Bulletin. You got it? All right. Let's put our seatbelt on because it's, 23 pages. On the first page, you are going to see a table of contents. So if you're looking for something specific, this is going to help you find what page number that information is on. We're starting off with Examinations by PSI Services LLC. This is the company that the state of Texas hires to proctor the examination for basically anything that has or requires a license or regulating. This says, beginning March 1st, 2021, PSI will begin to offer the cosmetology written exams online. This new online testing platform utilizes an environment that has a remote proctor using a secure technology to observe the test taker using their own desktop, webcam video, and audio to confirm their identity. This allows the candidate to complete the required licensing exam in a controlled environment. TDLR and PSI have been working diligently to provide a viable alternative method to in-person testing. In addition to the online examination option, PSI will continue to offer the traditional written exam at their 22 exam sites across the state of Texas. By providing the option to take your written exam at one of our 22 exam sites, or utilizing the new online examination platform, we are confident that it will provide you some relief of the limited availability, making it faster and more convenient to meet our candidates' needs to obtain their license from TDLR. Note, candidates will test individually in a private room. Group testing is not allowed. This is an option. This is something that presented itself during the pandemic, during lockdown, during COVID, and it hasn't really gone away. The options they are giving you is to take the written exam online. Is this something I encourage? I don't know. It kind of just really depends on you. Are you the kind of person that has a lot of anxiety about going places and making a whole day of it, having to put all of your stuff in a locker, having to make sure that you have your ID, having to fight through traffic, having to sometimes even going to another city? Is this something that you can and or willing to do? If it's not, then online testing can be a great option for you. If you do not have a strong Wi-Fi connection, I would say this is not a great option for you. If you do not have a quiet place at your home, like if you have children, love them, but they're not very quiet. So if you have a household that is not really conducive for testing, this may not be the greatest option for you, but it does exist. I do want to let you know this is written in red on the first page, so it is something that is really important. They want you to know. Next thing, you do have to pay for the exam. Once you receive an email saying that you are eligible, you will then be given the option to pay for your exam. So the written exam is $55 and the practical exam is $76. If you pay for it, like let's say your hours are released, you're eligible to pay, you go on the website, you click it, you pay for it, you put in your card, and then you kind of like forget about it and you don't really do anything for a year, you lose that money. I just need you to know that. You lose the money, you forfeit it. So make sure if you have already paid those fees that you are testing within 1 year of you making that payment. There are lots of different options to schedule your tests. You can go to the website, you can call, and you can also use standard snail mail. For the fastest and most convenient scheduling process, according to PSI in this packet, they want you to register on the website. You can select sign in / create an account. It's very easy. You'll be prompted to create an account with PSI. You put in your TDLR ID number. This is your student ID number, your student permit number. You put in your name, your email, your password. Very simple. You will now select if you want to take the exam at a PSI test center or from your own laptop or computer. This is going to be site proctored or Atlas remote proctored. Two different things. If you selected to take your written exam at a test center, follow the steps below. So you're going to enter your city and postal code, select search, and you're going to select the date and time that you would like to test. If you are ready to pay, you're going to put in your card information, and then once that payment has been made, you're going to receive a message confirming that the test center booked date and the booked time. Yay, congratulations. You have officially confirmed and you are ready to take your written exam. If you selected to take your written exam on your own personal computer, then you need to follow different steps. So you're going to enter your time zone, select search, then you're going to select the date and what time you want to test. Then you're going to pay, and then you are going to be sure to check the compatibility of your computer to include audio, video, webcam, and system check prior to testing. So you're going to be prompted with this. It'll say all of that in there. By not starting your test within 15 minutes after your booked time, you forfeit your test fee or test eligibility. Fees and test eligibilities are non-refundable. If you have any questions regarding your compatibility check, or if you experience issues launching the test, you may want to contact PSI's technical support team, and the phone number is listed right here. For telephone scheduling, you just call the phone number Monday through Friday between 6:30 a.m. and 9 p.m., Saturday and Sunday between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. With standard mail, you are going to print out the papers, you're going to put it in an envelope, and you're going to address it, yada yada. Have you sent mail before? Rescheduling an exam appointment. You may want to reschedule an exam without forfeiting your fee. If your notice is received 48 hours before the scheduled exam date, you can reschedule your exam without forfeiting that fee. If you lose your exam fee, your registration will be invalid and you will not be able to take the exam as scheduled, and you will forfeit your examination fee. If you do not reschedule your appointment at least 2 days before the scheduled exam date, you don't appear for your examination appointment, you arrive after the start time, you do not present proper identification when you arrive for the exam, or you are not dressed appropriately for the practical exam. Examination accommodations. All PSI exams are equipped to provide access in accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA of 1990, and exam accommodations will be made in meeting a candidate's needs. A candidate with a disability who would otherwise have difficulty taking the exam should request for alternative arrangements. This is going to be done by clicking this link here and filling out the form at the end of this information bulletin. Exams are administered in English, also available in Spanish or Vietnamese for no additional cost. To take one of these exams, you must indicate your language preference when you schedule your exam. For languages other than English or Vietnamese, you may request to have the exam translated by contacting PSI and paying an additional cost for each translation. Candidates are also welcome to bring a bound word-to-word translation dictionary, but the dictionary cannot have any pictures and it cannot have any definitions. If there is severe weather during the time of your examination or before your examination, the examination site may reschedule the exam, but it will be rescheduled by PSI. They will attempt to contact you about the situation, and you may want to check the status of your examination online or by calling their phone number. There are a whole bunch of different examination site locations. As we heard earlier, there are 22. They are located all over Texas. There's Abilene, Amarillo, Arlington, Austin, Corpus Christi, Dallas, Richardson, El Paso, Fort Worth, Harlingen, Never heard of that place. Houston, lots of Houston, Lubbock, McAllen, Midland, San Antonio, Tyler, Waco. All of these places are exam sites. So if one of these places are near you, great. If they have availability, awesome. If they don't, you can go anywhere. You can go to any one of those 22 testing sites and take your test. The check-in process to take your exam, if you're taking the exam on site, you want to make sure that you're there literally 30 to 45 minutes prior to your examination appointment time. This is going to make sure that you have ample time for anything that can come up. Traffic, parking, I don't know. The building's locked. You can't find it. You're lost. There are so many things that can happen when you are nervous and you're panicked and you're rushing and you are trying to make sure that you have everything that you need so that you can accomplish your life's goals for your career that you just, paid a lot of money and worked really hard for. There's a lot of pressure there. Take everything that you can to make sure you are prepared and ready to go the night before. So once you wake up in the morning, you're just eating breakfast, you're getting your stuff, and you are walking out the door on time. And then everything works out perfectly. If you are taking the exam on your personal computer, you want to make sure that you can launch the exam 30 minutes prior to the appointment time, because again, if anything happens, like your Wi-Fi is down, your computer is dead, you can't find the charger, your dog ate the charger, I don't know. Lots of things can happen. Making sure that you give yourself ample time to log in 30 minutes prior to your appointment time. If you launch after your appointment time, you will not be allowed to launch the exam and you will forfeit the exam fee. You must provide one form of identification. This can be a government ID, this can be a passport, this can be a foreign passport, driver's license, or a state ID. The ID must contain a printed name, photograph, signature, date of birth, and an expiration date. Passport cards do not contain all of the required information and therefore are not an acceptable form of identification. Temporary licenses or IDs will only be accepted if it is accompanied by the expired invalid license or another form of a photo ID. There's a lot more information about different forms of required ID, but you just have to have that one. So if you're looking for alternatives to that, there is more information on here. There are also security procedures. The following examination protocols apply during any exam. PSI may pause or terminate an exam at any time. Failure to follow the examination protocol may result in the disqualification of the examination results, prohibition from taking future exams, or they may lead to legal action. What does this mean? This is you having any kind of prohibited items like reference materials. Girl, if you got your textbook in there, what are you doing with your life? Electronic devices of any type. This is included but not limited to cell phones, computers, cameras, earbuds, electronic games, electronic watches, handheld calculators, handsets, mobile devices, music players. Who has an iPod? My kid literally asked me what an iPod was the other day, and I cried a little bit. Yeah. These are all things that are not acceptable in the examination room. So if you have something like this in your pocket on your person, you might be kicked out. If you have hats, headgear that are not worn for religious reasons or religious apparel, including hats, baseball caps, or visors, bulky or loose clothing or coats, including but not limited to open sweaters, cardigans, shawls, scarves, vests, jackets, and coats. In the event you are asked to remove bulky or loose outerwear, appropriate attire such as a shirt, blouse, or something should be worn underneath. What does this mean? If you come in looking like Billie Eilish and you are wearing giant puffer coats, but you're also like 65 pounds and you look like you're shuffling through, you might have a couple books in there. You might have confiscated material. I don't know. You might have something in there. So they just want to make sure that you can remove larger items so that you're not hiding anything in there. It's not because they think you are, but they just have to make sure that you aren't. Other personal items, but not limited to backpacks, briefcases, chewing gum, drinks, food, good luck items, notebooks, paper or other materials to write with, such as pens or other writing devices, purses, reading materials, smoking or chewing products, wallets, etc. All of these things, they need to be in your car. they need to be in your locker. I would make sure that you're walking in there with literally the least amount of things as possible for your written exam. I would make sure you have your ID, your phone, your keys, but like that's it. Like keep all that in a pocket, because when you get in there, they're going to give you a little bag with a number. You put your personal items in there, you hand it back, they give you a key or a tag, and that's how you get your stuff back. They take it away. So you do not have anything on your person. You should be walking into that testing room with your clothes. That's it. Truly. Apple Watch, take it off. It needs to go in your locker bag. Any kind of smartwatch. If you have an analog watch, that's fine, but it has to be an analog. Like it cannot be a digital. Any kind of prohibited behavior, like giving or receiving assistance to other test takers, what are you doing? Close your mouth, eyes forward. Don't look at anybody else's paper. It's elementary school rules. We are going to make sure that we're not copying, we're not communicating, we're not cheating. We're not using, again, any outside reference materials during the exam. During the check-in process, you are going to be asked if you have any of these prohibited items or you have anything on your person. And if you're like, no, girl, I'm good, I don't have anything, and then they find out that you have something, you're definitely going to get kicked out, and you're probably not going to be able to test in the future. Like, just being quite honest with you, proctors are also going to carefully inspect eyeglass frames, tie tacks, or any other apparel that could be used to harbor a recording device. Proctors will also inspect any such items in candidates' pockets. I know that we live in a society that now has like Meta watches or Meta I don't know what are they called, the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. You can't wear those. I think that goes without saying, but if it doesn't, I said it. You can't wear them. Additional protocols for taking your test at a testing center include, but are not limited to, any kind of person that is accompanying you must wait in the car outside of the building, somewhere that is not in the building around you. Again, I feel like that goes without saying, but if you can, go by yourself. If you can't, make sure that you have a way to and from there. But mama, you gotta go. You gotta go home, or you gotta go somewhere. Once candidates have been seated and the testing begins, they may leave the examination room only to use the restroom and only after obtaining permission from the proctor. Candidates will not receive any extra time for testing to complete the exam if they are leaving to go to the restroom. Additional protocols for you testing at home on your laptop or computer are not limited to, but do include earbuds, headphones, hats, hoods, shades. Anything that can be placed on the head or face is not allowed. Food, drinks, or breaks are not allowed. All personal items must be removed from the work area. You are not allowed to leave the workstation. Please do your best to avoid covering your mouth for the entirety of the duration of the exam. Be aware that talking, whispering, mouthing is not allowed during the exam. You must keep both of your hands above the desktop during the exam. You also have to note that under no circumstances you are allowed to take a screenshot or photo of the exam results at any time during or after the session. You have to have adequate lighting for the proctor to see your activity. The web camera must be placed for ideal viewing by the proctor. You may not change spaces during the exam. You must follow proper instructions, which may include, but are not limited to, keeping your hands on the desktop, keeping eyes on the computer, not fidgeting during the exam, keeping hands away from the face. Please do your best to avoid covering your mouth for the whole duration of the exam. Be aware that talking, whispering, and mouthing is not allowed during the exam. This goes for if you are taking it at a testing site or at home. Do not mouth anything. Do not talk to anybody. Do not whisper anything. Keep your hands away from your mouth. Breaks are not allowed during remote online proctored exams. If you believe you cannot complete your exam without a break, please do not register for online proctored exams. Dang, PSI, you cold. Okay. Taking your examination at a PSI testing site, The examination will be administered by a computer. You're going to sit down at a desk. There's a mouse, there's a keyboard. It's very easy. They give you they give you earplugs just in case you need like some noise cancellation and more focus. You will be directed to a semi-private testing station to take the exam. This means it's kind of like a cubicle. There's something on both sides so you can't see who's next to you or the computer next to you. And honestly, the people who are testing at the same time as you in the written exam are probably not even cosmetologists, truly and honestly. They're electricians, they're plumbers, they're elevator inspectors, they're all the other things that are licensed and regulated in the state of Texas. Once you get onto the website, they're going to confirm your identity. They're going to give you a tutorial on how to operate the website, how to take your test. There are going to be test questions that appear on the screen that are not graded. They just help you be able to, it's like a little tutorial to help you navigate how to take the test. The written exam content has been prepared and is periodically updated by committees of professionals who are subject matter experts in practice, instruction, and regulatory issues. The examination content outline identifies areas of importance to licenses for them to perform their duties to the public in a competent and legally responsible manner. What does that mean? It basically means, hey, we are making this test. It is made by people who are very competent in this field, whatever field that it is that PSI is testing, but in this specifically cosmetology, that it is updated frequently, and it is going to test you on the ability to perform your duties to the public in a competent, meaning, do you know what you're doing, and a legally responsible manner. Are you going to kill somebody? That's really it. That's it. Can you do it? And can you do it without hurting anyone? They give you an outline as a guide for the reference material and what is on the test. For the Texas operator, there are 100 scored items. There are 120 minutes. So you have 2 hours to take the test, and you only have to get 70% correct to pass. So this means you have to get 70 answers correct. There are 10 non-scored items, and you have 10 minutes to complete those. So technically, you have 130 minutes to answer 110 questions. 20% of the questions are going to be licensing and regulation. This is going to include health and safety and responsibilities of the practitioner. This is going to be things that are included in that TDLR workbook, handbook that they sent out to you when you first started school. If you don't know where that is, you should probably find it or maybe order another one. The second part is infection control. This is going to be 28% of the total 100 questions. This is going to include cleaning and disinfecting, implements, equipment, work environment. Safety procedures, exposure incidents, patch tests, strand tests. This is like, oh my God, I accidentally cut my client. What do I do? This is, my client is now having an allergic reaction. Oh my God, what do I do? This is, my client's hair is bubbling and smoking. What do I do? These are safety procedures. What do I do in these moments of panic? Skin. What are different diseases and disorders? Nails. Diseases and disorders. It is going to ask you about diseases and disorders for skin, nail, hair, and your scalp. These are things that can be communicable. We want to make sure that you understand universal precautions and health and public safety. The third part of the written exam is going to be 40% about hair and scalp care. This is the physiology of hair, products, cleansing, conditioning treatments, hair cutting, hair styling, hair extensions, thermal, chemical texture services, chemical theory, and relaxer. Then you have permanent wave, soft curl reformation, hair coloring, color theory, types of hair color and lightener, and the application. Then you have nail care. This is going to be 6% of your total 100 questions. This is 6 questions. There will be 6 questions about nails on your entire test. And I just need you to understand that, because I know right now you're freaking out. You're like, oh my God, Gabby, I'm doing hair. I don't know anything about nails. It's fine. There are 6 questions. You're going to be okay. The nail care questions are going to be manicuring, pedicuring, nail enhancements, acrylic, and tips. Skincare is also 6 questions. Facials, treatments, massages, hair removal, contraindications, methods of hair removal, and eyelash extensions. All of this is going to be referenced from the Texas Administrative Code, Texas Occupations Code, the Milady Standard Cosmetology textbook, and the Pivot Point Fundamentals textbook. There are specific editions and everything on here that are all referenced if you want to know specifically. Your practical exam, this is going to be a test not of talent, but again, can you do it competently? Can you follow directions? And can you do it safely? For practical exam questions or concerns, they want you to email cosmetology@psionline.com. They want you to read the following instructions carefully so that you will be able to properly be prepared for the exam. There is, again, no conversing. Do not talk in the practical exam. I'm being so for real. Don't even say, can I go to the bathroom? No, you just raise your hand, kind of point, walk out, walk back in. You may not even have to raise your hand for like going to the bathroom, because when you raise your hand, typically that's, hey, come score me. So I've been in testing sites where the proctor has said, like, if there's someone out there using the bathroom, clearly you can't go, wait till they come back, and then if nobody else is going, go. As long as 2 people are not gone at the same time, that's totally fine. I understand what you're doing. We all have an understanding. But that may change based off of the proctor and the testing facility. A proctor is going to be monitoring the time during the exam, so you will not receive points for any activities not completed within the allotted time limits. Let me say that again. A proctor will be monitoring the time. So they are keeping time. They have a timer going. They'll let you know when it is halfway, like at the halfway point of each section. If you do not raise your hand to get scored before that timer runs out, you will not be scored for anything. Kind of scary, but that's what it is. So you have to be able to kind of keep time in your head. You want to make sure that you have practiced this enough, that you have muscle memory, that you can get through these in a reasonable amount of time, and that you're not stressed and panicked and trying to race the clock. But let's just say you are behind and you have a feeling, or you know that timer is about to run out. Raise your hand anyway, and even if you didn't finish, you will still be scored for what you have completed, rather than not getting scored for anything at all. So it's always better to raise your hand, get scored for what you have completed, than to not get scored for anything at all. During the practical exam, you must follow all of the appropriate rules for patron protection that will ensure public safety and welfare of the public. Aerosol products are not permitted for use during the exam. Do not bring any hairsprays. Do not bring any hair products. Don't bring them. Anything that is aerosol, anything that goes, don't bring it. Odorless monomer and low odor primer for one nail. Only bottles clearly marked odorless by the manufacturer will be allowed. All tasks listed in this bulletin must be performed in order listed, or candidates will not receive points. I know some schools, some teachers, some people, whatever, have said these don't have to be performed in order except for that haircut portion. These are the only 3 things that have to be done in this order. False. We just read in the bulletin that everything, all tasks listed in this bulletin must be performed in order, or candidates will not receive points. So if we scroll down here, we're going to go back to supplies and equipment in just a minute. But if we go back down here to page 16, this is the content outline for the practical exam. It goes through each section of the test. It tells you how many minutes, how many points, each task that has to be done in order to get scored. So we're going to go through this real quick for each of these. The supplies and equipment, I have a separate video. Where I am going through each individual bag and I'm packing my state board kit. So if you are interested in that, I will link it either in the description or above here so that you can go through the practical exam kit with me, and hopefully I will answer some of your questions. But if you have more questions, definitely put them in the comments below. Options for your kit: you can purchase one online, you can make one yourself. Sometimes schools will have one that you can purchase as well. So it really just kind of depends on the school, the state, your budget, what you want to do. I made my own. So everything on this page right here is what needs to be in your state board kit. Right now, we're going to go through the practical exam line by line for all of these tasks. The entire examination will be 3 hours and 31 minutes. The total number of points is 119 and a passing score is 84. The proctor will read all of these instructions to you before the test begins. And then they will say, does anyone have any questions about the instructions I have just read you? Typically, people will say nothing because you're not supposed to say anything. This is kind of like a speak now or forever hold your peace at a wedding. This is that moment. The first section is the pre-examination setup and disinfection. You have 10 minutes to unpack your general supplies and prepare your work area. You will be informed when you have 5 minutes remaining. So again, it's the proctor's keeping time. There's a halfway point, they'll let you know. For the pre-exam setup and disinfection, you have 10 minutes. There are 2 different types of criteria that you are getting scored for. Not every single section has both of these criteria points because some of them there is not a practical service that you are performing. So for the pre-exam setup, you're just cleaning. So all you're going to get are safety criteria. Each one of these is worth 1 point. So you want to disinfect your work surface. This means spray down literally everything, like your mirror, your cabinet, your chair, your everything. Then you want to let that kind of sit for a minute. Technically, you're probably supposed to let it sit for about 10, depending on what brand of EPA registered barbicide, marvicide, whatever you have. You want to let it sit because that's how that works. But then you want to wipe it off with a paper towel. Properly disposing of waste material. This is making sure that you're putting it in that trash bag and that you are not cross-contaminating your kit. You want to avoid cross-contamination at all costs. We're going to make sure that our kit remains sanitary by closing that bag right back up. So that's it. You have 10 minutes to clean your life. That's it. I would make sure that on your big bag, you're zipping it, you're re-zipping it. You're not taking anything else out that you don't need yet. So the only service bag that you have out is that pre-exam setup and disinfection. Once you are done with that, you will raise your hand, you will get scored, and then you wait patiently until everyone else is done and they're ready to move on. The next section is the monomer and polymer overtip service. Please apply a nail tip and monomer and polymer overlay on one nail. You have 32 minutes to complete this section. You will be informed when you have 16 minutes remaining. You may begin. Monomer and polymer overtip, the time allowed is 32 minutes and the procedure criteria is 1 point each. You want to set up your manicure table, sanitize/clean hands, prepare nails for service, select and adhere nail tip, trim nail tip, blend nail tip, apply monomer and polymer to the nail, and then finish the nail surface. This seems really easy. We're going to set up our manicure table first by disinfecting. We're spraying everything down. We are wiping it off with a paper towel. We're setting up our trash bag. We're disposing of things properly. We're using hand sanitizer to clean our hands to make sure that we're not cross-contaminating anything. Then we're going to dip into our service bag. We're going to pull out everything that we need. I really like to make sure that I'm laying out everything in order. That just kind of helps me visually see what I need to do next without necessarily like numbering, because you do not want to do that. That is illegal in this test. So make sure that there is nothing indicating the actual order of the steps other than the way that you set it up. All of this service criteria, procedure criteria is going to be referenced from Milady and Pivot Point. So preparing the nail for service, this is removing the polish, trimming the free edge, filing the free edge, making sure that your nail is prepared for that nail service. So we're going to go over the practical, just each section, and I'm going to give like a brief description really quick. You can find all of this again in the candidate information bulletin. The first portion of the exam is going to be your pre-exam setup and disinfection. This is where you want to clean your workspace. Once you are done cleaning and setting everything up, then you're going to want to raise your hand and get scored. Once you have been scored, you want to just patiently wait until the next section has begun. I would not pull out anything of your bag until that next section is announced and has begun. The next section after your pre-exam setup is your monomer and polymer overtip service. This is where you are going to apply a nail tip and monomer and polymer overlay on one nail. I like to have just like the little one nail thing, not like a whole hand, just one finger. You're going to have 32 minutes to complete this section. Because it must be performed with odorless monomer and polymer, it's going to take 5 ever for that to dry. So you really want to make sure that you're doing the first portion, the first 6 steps as quickly as possible so that you have the most amount of time to let that odorless monomer and polymer dry. Once you are done and you have finished that nail service, you really want to make sure that you're properly disposing of your waste material. You're ensuring your workstation remains sanitary throughout the entire procedure. If there's nail tips, nail shavings, anything, anywhere just hanging out, please get rid of that. Please make sure that that goes into the trash and that is not sitting out when your proctor comes over to score you, because you will not get points for that. You want to make sure that all of your containers remain closed when they're not in use and that your kit remains sanitary. The next section is going to be blood exposure incident. You're going to have 12 minutes to perform this, and this is literally where you are pretending like the finger has been cut and you are going to stop the bleeding. So you're going to clean the area like around, So you're going to sanitize your hands, you're going to wear gloves, you're cleaning the cut, you're bandaging the cut, you're properly disposing of those materials, and then you're sanitizing your hands again. You want to make sure that everything is put into a biohazard bag, that it is double bagged and labeled, and that everything is 100% closed, and that kit remains sanitary, and that there is zero cross-contamination. After the blood exposure incident, we do have the facial service. This is where you're going to perform a basic facial service demonstrating massage manipulations. You're going to have 17 minutes to do this, and you'll be informed when you have 9 minutes remaining. This is where we are sanitizing, we are prepping the model, which is the mannequin, for service. You're removing eye makeup, you are cleansing the face, you're removing that cleanser, you're applying massage cream, you're performing 3 basic massage manipulations, which are effleurage, petrissage, and tapotement. You want to make sure that you're removing that massage product, you're applying an astringent refresher or toner, and that you are applying a moisturizer. Do not remove that moisturizer. The safety criteria is going to be making sure that you're disposing of your waste material, ensuring everything remains sanitary, ensure that head draping is maintained throughout the service, replacing contaminated items, ensuring containers remain closed when they're not in use, and that everything remains sanitary, avoiding cross-contamination. Once you are done with the facial, you will move on to the waxing service. This is going to be a waxing service using soft wax. This is a simulated wax product. This is not real wax. Do not worry about that. But they want you to apply it to one eyebrow. You have 14 minutes. You'll be informed when you have 7 minutes remaining. Very simple. Wear gloves, prepare one area of the brow for service, demonstrate proper application of the wax, proper application of the fabric strip, and then the removal of the wax and the post-wax product. Safety criteria is essentially the same, disposing of waste material, making sure that everything remains sanitary, draping is maintained throughout the service, replace contaminated items, avoid cross-contamination. Once you are done with the waxing service, this is the haircut service. So the haircut service is 42 minutes in length. You'll be informed when you have 21 minutes remaining. They want you to remove at least 1 inch of hair throughout the entire head, performing a layered haircut of your choice using a razor and shears. The time is okay. These must be performed in order: sanitizing your hands, preparing the mannequin for service, performing a scalp analysis. Let me say that one louder. Perform a scalp analysis. This is something that gets forgotten so often, even in the salon, even after you're licensed. Scalp analysis is something that gets forgotten. And it is something that is so incredibly important, not just for your client, but also for the health and safety of yourself and other people. There are so many things that can be on the scalp that can cause diseases, infections, contagion, all of these things. Scalp analysis is vital. So if you remember nothing, remember scalp analysis. This does not need to be performed in order, according to the PSI packet, even though it said perform in order. I would just perform in order just to be safe. This is using a razor with a guard during the haircut, following a guide throughout the haircut, using shears during the haircut, making sure your haircut is blended, cutting a minimum of 1 inch off throughout the entire head, and then removing hair off of your workstation and sweeping hair from the floor. Your safety criteria, again, is properly disposing of waste material, ensuring everything remains sanitary, ensure draping is maintained, and avoiding cross-contamination. Once you are done with the haircutting service, we'll move on to the permanent wave service. This will be a total of 22 minutes. You'll be informed when you have 11 minutes remaining. They want you to wrap a minimum of 6 rods in the center back section. You will be instructed by your rater to demonstrate saturation and a test curl. The permanent wave, we're going to make sure that we're sanitizing our hands, we're preparing our mannequin for the service. We are subsectioning the hair and wrapping a minimum of 6 rods. Placing hands in the proper position, demonstrating saturation on all rods, demonstrating a test curl. So after you have placed bands in the proper position, you are going to raise your hand and the proctor will come over and you're going to demonstrate saturation of the rods and also a test curl. Safety criteria, the same. The next section is going to be the blow dry and thermal. This is where you are going to blow dry wet hair in one section and complete curls. This is going to be a 22-minute section. You will be informed when you have 11 minutes remaining. The procedure criteria is going to be sanitize, clean your hands, prepare your mannequin for service, blow dry hair in one section, establish a base using a thermal iron, place curl number 1 on base, and place curl number 2 off base. When you are done with your blow dry and thermal, you want to make sure again that you are running through all that safety criteria, properly disposing of waste material, ensuring workstation remains sanitary, yada, 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 yada. I'm done. Raise your hand, get scored. Next section is going to be the chemical service preparation only. You're going to have 10 minutes to set up your mannequin and your station for the chemical service, but you will not be performing the chemical service application until the 10 minutes is up and the next section has begun. So we are still going to sanitize our hands, prepare a mannequin for service, divide the hair into 4 uniform sections, apply a protective cream, wear protective gloves throughout the chemical service. You can wear the same pair throughout the entire chemical service portion. Once that 10 minutes is up, the next section will be the foil highlights application service. When you are instructed by the rater, you are going to apply product to 2 subsections in a quadrant of your choice using foils. They can be sliced or weaved. It doesn't have to be both or either. The foil highlights, there's 2 points and it is not timed. So the proctor will go to each one individually, do your foils, move on. Once the foil section has been completed, you'll move on to the hydroxide virgin relaxer service. This is where you're going to complete a virgin relaxer service. In the quadrant of your choice, you have 10 minutes to complete this section. You are going to apply relaxer product for the virgin application, demonstrating smoothing on one subsection. So typically at the top, I will demonstrate the smoothing. Applying a relaxer product for a virgin application, you're just leaving it off the roots and you're leaving it off the ends. So you're putting it on those mids, and then when you go back for smoothing, you're going to use the back of the comb, back of the color brush to smooth out that subsection. The last chemical portion is going to be a hydroxide relaxer retouch. This is going to be completed by retouching, assuming 2 inches of regrowth. You're going to have 10 minutes to complete this. You'll be informed when you have 5 minutes remaining. And there is only one procedure criteria. It is apply relaxer product for retouch application. Very simple. Your safety criteria is going to be for the chemical service portion as a whole, not for each one, but it is going to be as a whole. Once you are done with the chemical portion, this is going to, again, be the foil highlight, the virgin hydroxide relaxer, and the relaxer retouch applications. Those 3 are in the chemical service portion, but they are broken down. Once you are done with all 3 of those, then you're going to be at the end of the exam. Yay! The end of the exam disinfection. You have 10 minutes to complete. This is where you're disposing of literally everything. You're taking everything and you're putting it in that trash bag. You're disinfecting your workstation. So the last thing that's going to go in there is your barbicide, your paper towels, your hand sanitizer. Once you have re-disinfected everything, thrown that away, removed all your supplies, tie up that black trash bag, raise your hand, wait to be scored, and you are done. You're ready to go. Once all scoring has been completed, you will hear, "This concludes the practical exam. Please be seated at your assigned station to wait for your score report. Barring any computer-related problems, it should only take approximately 5 to 10 minutes to generate the report. Once you have received your score report, you are required to leave the testing facility immediately. Make sure that you read and review your score report in its entirety. Raters or proctors are not allowed to discuss your examination or its result. For questions or concerns, please wait 24 hours and then contact PSI customer service. Thank you and have a great day." So this is the end. And the end of the bulletin is the examination registration form or the out-of-state testing form. That is very briefly, but not briefly, a quick run through and overview of the PSI Candidate Information Bulletin. I am going to be coming out with a bunch of state board videos over the next coming weeks that are going to help support you in your journey and getting your license. And I'm so excited for you. It's such a joy to be able to go through all of those hours and all of that hard work and all of those tears and all of those days that you think you weren't going to make it. And when you have that paper in your hand that says pass, there is no feeling like it. So I really want to help you get to that point. You're going to be successful. It's going to be okay. Your career is just beginning, and I'm going to be there every step of the way. Come back next week for another video on state board or some kind of content like this. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Bye.